Look, your girl is back. So y'all need to hurry up and just get in here, get in here, get in here because I don't think y'all ready for this tea, okay? Listen. So in my previous video, I was just talking about how Cassie, they're going through these FOs and how she is literally on the verge of leaving, right? So now we are nearing the end of day 5 for Cassie's cross-examination. And the prosecutors have stepped back in and asked her a couple of questions. However, the defense comes back and they ask Cassie, or excuse me, I should say, they inform Cassie that they're almost done with their line of questioning. This was part of yesterday that I kind of did not like because I felt as though the defense was like trying to antagonize her. And listen to why I say this. I'm going to read it for you. And then you guys can definitely tell me down in the comments what you think. The defense informs Cassie that they're almost done. Cassie responds back, "Thank you." The defense says, we'll read Diddy's message. "You're going to make a beautiful mother. God bless." Cassie responds. I said, "Thank you. God bless." Cassie also wrote, "We should talk and have closure." To me, like, I get it. And then this other part, Diddy says, "Tear face emoji, you were always my ride or die." And Cassie responds, "I thought it was nice." That whole entire dialogue right there, I felt as though the defense deliberately wrote or read that to like try and antagonize her, to try and get like some type of emotion to make her upset. It's just like, why else would you read that? She is currently about to drop at any given moment, and you're going to read that while she's on the stands? Like, that was Diddy's way, I feel, of getting at her, like poking the bear to a certain degree. Like, I can't verbally say anything to you. You won't acknowledge me while I'm sitting here. So I'm going to get my lawyers to say something that I know will get at you or make you think in your mind about certain things. That part I did not like. But so they continue on, and the defense talks about how they shaped each other, and Cassie was just like, yes, the personal trainer. I talked about that in the previous message. But this is where I want to pick up where the prosecutors step back in, and they're talking about Canes. Y'all remember when Cassie gave her testimony on Canes, and they said, "What did Diddy do while you guys were there?" Diddy responds, "Played a video of having X with an escort." And this was the incident where she traded in her plane ticket for a commercial plane ticket to get away from him. And he did the same exact thing and then came and sat beside her and played the very video that she had deleted off of his device and says, "I know everything. You can't hide nothing." And shows her the video like you're antagonizing her. And mind you, she had just came off of a FO spree. They had like maybe 4 or 5 FOs before that trip even incurred. So then the prosecutor goes down to ask Cassie about her lawsuit, right? And they ask her about why did she cancel the tour. Excuse me, not the lawsuit is within this. Follow me. Cassie responds, after she filed her civil lawsuit, she was overwhelmed with addressing the past, the way that she chose to deal with it. She said, "I didn't want to go." The prosecutor says, "Do you plan to file more lawsuits?" And Cassie responds, "No." The prosecutor said, "Would you give the $20 million back if you didn't have to do any freak-offs?" And the defense says, "Objection." The judge said overrule, and Cassie said, "I would give it back if I had my agency back." Basically, what Cassie is trying to portray here is that I lost all of my dignity by doing these FOs, continuing to try and appease you, make you happy. And within all of this, now the world knows everything that has happened in some of my most intimate moments. People have seen these, and I lost my dignity. And that's never okay. Think about the mental, psychological, emotional that she has to deal with. That's why I commend her husband. Shout out to Alex, because you did your thing. Cassie saved Cassie. Y'all know it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So then we moved all the way down. They're talking about the Met Gala, why she kept her devices from 2012, 2014. Cassie, bottom line, said, the reason I kept my devices is because I did not know what was on them, and I did not want to risk someone at the Apple store seeing what was on the devices. Then they moved on to saying how Diddy put her in different spaces with multiple different other artists. They named off her being in the studio with Nicki Minaj, which she confirmed, her being in the studio with Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, Pusha T. She responded yes to Lil Wayne. However, she said, the defense said, am I forgetting any names? And Cassie said, well, you have a lot of names there. So you got to think about it. All of these different people that Diddy has proceeded to work with doesn't necessarily mean that Cassie was put in this situation in order to benefit in that possibility. Because still, once again, he had his thumb over her career with that 10 album deal that he made, that she basically signed back in 2006. So then the defense asked her about her relationship with D-Rock, and she said that he was like a brother. And then asked her about her relationship with Mia, and she said it was a true friendship. So now we're going to fast forward, right? The defense proceeds to ask Cassie about a $10 million lawsuit that she filed with Intercontinental. They kept asking her multiple different times if she settled it. Finally, they asked the question a different way, and she said she made a request, and they finally settled on the $10 million. Now, Cassie has been removed from the stand, and now we are bringing in Special Agent Yasin Binda. Yasin Binda talks about how he brought in subpoenas, and he was one of the, let me go ahead and say this because this is important. He is part of HSI, which is the Human Trafficking Group, and also the Crisis Negotiation Group. He was one of the first responders that came to the hotel when Diddy was arrested at the Park Hyatt in room 2115. They go on to ask him what he found in those photographs. I'm going to read it verbatim so that we have nothing misconstrued. The prosecutor says, what was your role? I took photographs and I had to assign them to a 6051 form. The prosecutor said, what did you find in the closet? He responds, I found a plastic bag of Johnson & Johnson baby oil along with Astroglide bottles. The prosecutor says, now, what did you find in the bedroom in the LV bag? The agent responds, I found medication with the name Frank Black on it. The prosecutor says, what was in it? Pink powder found in the medicine bottle. When they went to test it, the prosecutors found that the pink powder was ketamine and MDMA. The prosecutor proceeds on to ask, what did you find in the black mini pack bag? Agent Binda says $9,000 and proceeds to fan out all the bills that they found. Then the defense comes back and cross-examines and says, did you happen to see any bags of clothing indicating that there was a woman that was staying in the room as well? And Agent Binda responds, yes. So what Agent Binda just exposed, these are all the things that Diddy had on him when they picked him up. So you literally were having an FO when they came and picked you up. Like, that's not smart. That's not smart, none whatsoever. They found ketamine, MDMA, $9,000 in cash, all the baby oil, and Astroglide that you could ever need. And they said that they found open bottles of baby oil in the actual bathroom. But the part that got me was that they found a pill bottle with the name Frank Black on it in the bag. Like, that right there, I was just like, are you serious? But we're going to go ahead and move on to this next part. I promise you, buckle in, strap down your wigs, and hold on. The judge says, U.S., you may call your next witness. The prosecutor say, Your Honor, The government would like to call Dawn Richards. She is now taking the stand. The prosecutors move to ask Dawn, where are you from? She says, New Orleans, Louisiana. The prosecutors say, from 2004 and 2011, who did you work for? Dawn responds, Puff, Sean Combs. The prosecutors say, do you see him? She responds, yes. The prosecutors then show a photo, and she says, and they ask her, who is this? And she responds, Cassie. The prosecutors proceed to move and say, in 2009, did you observe an incident between Puff and Cassie? Dawn responds, she was attacked by Diddy, kicked. Then they move to ask her the next question. Did you see more violence by him against Cassie? Dawn responds, often. Then they show a picture of Diddy Dirty Money. The prosecutor then says, were you a member of this group? And Dawn says from 2009 to 2011. Okay? Establish the timeline. The prosecutors move and say, the incident in 2009 when Diddy beat Cassie, were you there? And where was it? Dawn says, in Diddy's LA home, we were recording. They asked, what did he do? Dawn says, he was saying, where the F is my food? He grabbed a black skillet with eggs and tried to hit her over the head. Cassie dropped to the ground. The prosecutors asked, what did she do? Dawn said she went into fetal position. The prosecutors then asked Dawn, what happened next? Dawn said Diddy was kicking her in the head and body, then dragged her up the first floor, breaking glass and yelling. I was scared for her and for me too. The prosecutors asked her, did you intervene? Dawn said no. The prosecutor said, did you call the police? Dawn said no. The prosecutor said, what happened the next day? Dawn said it had been passionate and she was okay. And that it would be better if we didn't talk, that people could end up missing. The prosecutor said, how did you understand that? Or how did you take that, basically? Dawn responded, death. The defense yells objection. The judge calls sidebar and then excuses the jury for the day. So, right there, within what I call 3 minutes, Dawn confirmed that, yes, she was present for one occurrence, which I'm pretty sure on Monday, we're going to see another occurrence along with another occurrence of him doing the same exact pattern with Cassie. So, this weekend, it was also stated that the entire witness and full list of everyone that is to be involved is supposed to be prepared and ready by Sunday at 5 p.m. So we're still waiting to see that. Hopefully come Monday, we will have privy to that. It also broke late last night that David, let me double confirm. I don't want to butcher his name. It's been so many different things, but it is Diddy's assistant. He has been identified as one of his co-conspirators, and he will be taking the stand on Monday after Dawn Richards to testify. David James. And he can be seen in photographs, and I may just go ahead and put like a little photograph of him right here along with Capricorn Clark, so you guys know what they ultimately look like. But I'm going to stop right here. Not going to give you too much more. I hope you like this video. I hope you comment. I hope you share it. And please follow and subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you guys soon.